What's going on, guys? I have a really awesome video for you tonight. This is the first, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, the first fully installed Phoenix Props Jedi killer, as well as having a full chassis system available for it, which is a system that I've designed myself. It's a 5-part system that I'll kind of go into some more detail in a second. Currently, it's only available for the Proffie 2.2, and again, I'll get into that detail in a minute. But like I said, this saber is awesome. I'm so pumped about it. It's the first Proffie I've really gotten into, and really spent some time to really get into those settings and kind of make it my own. On top of all that, I also am debuting the first plug in my modular plug system, which is a system of blade plugs that are going to be interchangeable that I'm coming up with, and that are going to be available on my Shapeways Store, which will be linked below in the description. I guess it's below. New camera setup. And yeah, so let's get into this. So this is, like I said, Phoenix Props Jedi Killer. It has a Proffie 2.2, a full 18650 lithium-ion battery, a 2.1 millimeter recharge port. It has two accent crystals, one in the lower chamber, one in the upper chamber, as well as a Stoke NeoPixel connector. One thing to note is that if you look in here, I'm not sure if this is going to focus. You got to focus, maybe? No? Okay, well, when you look in here, there are actually two crystals in that chamber. So the details that you get with this, with the illumination of the dual crystal and the dual pixel is really incredible. This is filled out with, I think, about 10 custom fonts that I've tossed on here for different features and setups that I want to go through. I might even make my own separate video just going through some of the profiles I put on this, because like I said, it's incredible. I've never sat down to really mess with the Proffie, and for a long time I really was just kind of like, okay, but Crystal Focus is easier. But man, the things you can do with this, especially thanks to Fett and Frederick, I mean, the abilities, it's awesome. It's really incredible. So I do highly recommend that everyone should have a Proffie saber. Anyways, enough of me gloating. Let's talk about the chassis first and foremost, because that's obviously part one of this. I know a lot of people want a chassis for this saber. So what I've done is I've already removed the connectors that you see here for the red wire. So you want to hold the saber from this lower section, and you just want to untwist the lower pommel, or sorry, the lower body. And the way that this chassis fits in is it's very tight. So I always want to see the board, and then you want to just be careful when you slide it out, and you always want to, I usually put a little bit of pressure down on the CPU chip. I didn't have to this time, but usually I do. Stay. So the issue with this chassis, and the reason I'm not sure if a Crystal Focus is going to fit with a full-size 18650 battery. It will fit if I resize and we use a smaller battery. It'll definitely fit. The reason it won't fit necessarily with the 18650 is because in order to fit the 18650, it goes up into this neck section here, which means it has to fit through these threads. And then an 18650 with a Crystal Focus on top of it doesn't fit that diameter currently. If we toss an 18350, where we can forego the threads, we can actually have a system that just slides in the bottom, which is a little bit different than this. But we can have a system that just slides right in the bottom, and it can be friction held in place, where we can forego the threading here altogether and just slide the entire chassis in and out like this. So that's kind of the plan of what I'm thinking for the Crystal Focus, but that's going to take a little more time. I have to get a board on hand. I don't have a Crystal Focus, surprisingly, and go from there. So for those of you who want to do an install, I've already modified this chassis slightly, giving you a little bit more room for the board. The way I did this was a couple things, is that I ran my Stoke connector is normal size wire gauge. I ran these two accent crystals in series, so it goes from the board into crystal 1 is considered the lower one, and then out to crystal 2, which is considered the second one, and then up to the blade, obviously, but so it's one set of crystals, and then a separate data and power for the blade. Okay. Wired all my switches. I used this compartment in here. When you guys take this Saber apart, there's a nice compartment here and a nice compartment here with a lot of room. I use those two to store most of my bulk wiring. Okay. And then I basically cut off exactly what I needed to get the board in. One thing to note is that when the battery runs through the underside, there are these slits. Okay. Do this and get my little tool here. There are these openings, okay, in the chassis. So the battery runs through, goes here, goes over your speaker, and up to your recharge port. The biggest thing I can stress is that when you're installing this, you want to make these wires and the wires coming from your recharge port here to your board, which are these ones, you want to make them as close to perfect length as possible. So it might take a couple tries, but you want to make them, because that way you don't have to worry about the wires hitting the speaker. I've had zero issues with any distortion or anything because they're the right length and they're not bumping the speaker. No sound level issues, no distortion, no crackling, nothing. Another tip is that I actually took some hot glue, which I'm going to get some black hot glue, but some hot glue here, and I'm going to, and I use that to hold the wires in place here. Okay, that way these two can't move. Run everything back, obviously go to the board, and then we're good to go. So let's get this fired up. Like I said, I think there's about 10 different fonts on here, so we're just going to kind of start to go through them. I'm going to put the pommel back on just because it helps with the volume. I don't have any issues with hearing this. Obviously, it's not quite as loud as I would love. But again, if we want the chassis to be held in place like it is, then the 24 millimeter is what's required. The CFX version might have a 28 mil. I'm not sure yet. So, again, I'll keep you guys updated on that. So you can see I actually have, or I don't know if you can see, my lower crystal is pulsing like an orange yellow and the upper one is a red. And this is the Empress Saber font by KSith. I'm going to hold this here, pop these guys back on real quick. If it's a pain, if it's going to be too much, I'll hold off on it. One of them, and there's two. So what I do is I basically bend these to allow them to fit nice and snug in place. I might think of something else to do those, I'm not sure yet. And then you can take your red wire and just pop it right in this opening. From there you are good to go, you're in place. All of these ones I epoxied in place because there's no issue with them. Okay, so we're gonna get this fired up. So this is the blade plug.
Ascension.
Let's go to a different font. This is Ascension, and the blue crystal here. So you have a fully lit up blade plug. This is lit up on its own, not with the Stoke NeoPixel connector. So I'll show that off real quick. So I drilled my own set screw up here. So loosen this here, boom. Okay, blade plug with a pixel connector. And what I mean by modular plug system is that if I sit there and I take, let's say, this is just a different plug system or plug that I've printed, and I want that in, I can take this one out, toss this guy in, boom, and I have a brand new, completely different blade plug that I can, now this one's too long, But brand new, different blade plug that I can toss in here. And have a brand... Oh, sorry. It's not holding with the set screw. We can have a brand new effect. Okay? And then obviously I have my Stoke connectors. So that is what I mean by the modular plug system. I'm going to go back to my old one. You can mix and match these as you wish. So that's also available on my Shapeways stores that I'm going to continue to push. Okay. I'm going to toss a blade in. Some of these fonts are unique. Some of them have things that you won't be able to see on this blade. Like, for example, one of the coolest profiles that I have, which I can't show off in this video, is Nazgul, which is from Lord of the Rings, based off the ring race. If I'm wrong on that terminology, please correct me. I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings guy. But it's awesome because there's like an Eye of Sauron in the upper blade that you can't see with this one, but it does. But it does have a cool fire effect, which, there we go. Which is just, it's awesome, so. So, again, a really cool font. This is unhinged by Mad Cow. So, this is a flame blade that will actually, as you turn it, the flames will get shorter, which you can start to see how it's getting shorter right there at the end. And then as you turn it, it'll become a bigger and fuller blade. And this has also its localized lockup. So right now, you don't see any lockup. But as you twist it, that lockup becomes available. Depending on the pitch, I'm going to show this off. Depending on the pitch of the saber. So again, that's another really cool feature. Let's see here. Lord Vader. So this one is Rogue One. And it has the music. So we can do this. So that's obviously the hallway scene from Rogue One at the end of the movie. So again, just some really, there's so many features of this board. I mean, even right now, I feel like I'm not even doing close to doing it justice. Count Dooku, Darth Maul, Luke Skywalker. It's a nice little green blade that's going to pulse here. I have to change the crystal color. Right now it's red. I put the wrong thing in there. Calibrate, which is a font again by Mad Cow. This is supposed to be like a Crystal Workshop type font, because Proffie can read CFX fonts. So this is not meant to sound like a Saber, yet more like you're working on it. So, another cool font. And then back to Empress Palpatine. And then I do have Supreme Leader. I have 3, this is Kylo Ren, The Force Awakens. This is The Last Jedi. With, obviously, I'm going to have one of the boots play really quick. If I can get the kill key in. That one. Okay. So again, with flame blades and everything, really, really incredible stuff. This is more of like a white and red blade. This one I added a cool off feature. Back to Nazgul. So in terms of fonts and everything, that is just about it. Like I said, there's so much you can do with this saber, with these boards. I'm going to take this blade out for you. Let's see here. There's no pulsing crystal in this one. I put the kill key in. That's why. There you go. So I'm going to leave the pulsing crystal on for a second here. So that's everything with this particular saber. Like I said, guys, the chassis as well as the other pieces are all going to be available on my Shapeways store, linked below. The modular plug system is also going to be available. Again, Shapeways, linked below. I am going to continue working on a CFX version of this particular chassis. But once we are done with that, I will obviously let everyone know once it is released. So I hope you guys liked the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the saber, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, thanks.